Right. Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Town TV show. We have the Caribbean. And Steve and I and Chrissy, as you know, were over there. Steve went up in the helicopter, as we told you last week.
He gets all the fun jobs, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yep.
All the fun jobs.
Yep. He was on the mast approach coming into Wallop, which is quite a great thing. What else we got on this week's show? I took Maggie up to Chelsea. You know Maggie from Enham?
Oh, you did? Chelsea Flower Show?
Yeah. Enham Garden Centre.
There's another fun job for you. Well, I was still in the office, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we had these wonderful press tickets, and we went up to the Chelsea Flower Show. That was really quite good fun. We almost got to see the Queen, but we didn't. But yeah, that was good fun. A lot of blooms and blossoms and all those sort of things, and tractors. And Bob Carroll G's in this one, so keep your eyes open. Surprise, surprise.
We're going to be featuring a lot of garden stuff in the show in the coming weeks and months because there's a season for it.
Yeah.
I've been out in the garden this weekend.
Have you?
My back is killing me. I'm just taking the weeds out. So I think I'll leave it to the wife from now on.
Right, also, in this week's show, what have we got? We've got Thompsons, the last bit of Thompsons. I think it's been quite a saga. It's probably bigger than Dallas. Oh, and the one thing that Tony being a muso, he was here on Saturday afternoon, and we had a little blast with the, what were they called?
Night Shift.
Night Shift. It was a Hampshire police band.
Yeah, actually, it's very good because it's... they're doing a lot of work, and they're doing a lot of very good work, anti-drug work, which is... It takes a lot of time, their free time to do this, and they go out and they play. And I think it's great. I think the guys are doing a great job.
They wrote a pretty good song too, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, excellent. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's excellent. You'll probably hear it on the show, but
That's right.
it's very commendable what these guys are doing. I think it's great. And we played with them as well, didn't we, of course, yes.
And you did Wild Thing.
Well, we had a bit of a session with them.
And Reg is still going up the charts. Reg, if you're watching this, well done. But I guess we'll see you in the studio, but...
Well, I don't know. He mightn't come in again now. He's making so much money.
Well, he won't talk to us anymore, will you, Reg? Never mind.
Well,
remember your old friends, Reg.
Yes. A lunch, please. Yes.
A big lunch at the Danebury, please, Reg.
Yes. Or anywhere.
He's in Spain at the moment with Keith Floyd, so he may bring some film back from Spain, which we'll probably show you on next week's show. But Steve has spent the last hour walking backwards. Haven't you, Steve?
Yes. Well, he spent all day today. I don't know how he stands it. In the edit suite, he's been working since God knows what time this morning. Yeah. It's pretty late, so he did a great job. Yeah. So let's hear it for Steve.
Yeah, big round of applause for Steve. And here we are, outside the Chantry Centre studio.
Oh, we're back home again.
And we're just going to go in and finish off the show. Well, here we are. We're leaving Miami, which is behind us on the horizon there, and we're now off to the Bahamas, I think. It's really tough working for Town TV in Andover, but Steve on camera is here. We're going to be bringing you the best stories from the Caribbean. We're underway at last night. People watching Town TV will bring you news. I believe we did in time. Well, it's 11 o'clock on Monday morning. We just come into Nassau in the Bahamas. We got diverted from Coco Cay because of the rough weather. Amazingly, it's been raining. Mind you, it's very, very warm. But anyway, here we are in Nassau. There's an American warship just behind us over there. And the pink Art Deco buildings of Nassau, Bahamas. Well, the jazz cruise is proceeding at quite a swinging pace, as Steve, the cameraman, said. So we're going to just continue on taking some pictures and talking to some of the passengers. And tonight we've got a really good jazz night for the viewers. So keep on watching Town TV. Follow this Caribbean Spectacular Jazz Cruise.
The Ultimate Caribbean Jazz Spectacular is a 17-day event which will be held aboard two RCCL ships, the Sovereign of the Seas and the Song of America. The first week on the Sovereign of the Seas we've just completed. It paid tribute to a wonderful American musician and comedian and television personality, Steve Allen. And this week on the Song of America we're paying tribute to probably the most legendary jazz figure of our time, Mr. Benny Carter. And this is a cruise that has 6 wonderful bands led by saxophone players, Benny, of course, being primarily a saxophone player himself. And these bands will be playing many of the songs associated with Benny, and he'll be organizing musicals, utilizing many of these saxophone players and musicians, and we'll have about 1,500 passengers on board enjoying all the music, stopping at half a dozen different ports in the Southern Caribbean primarily, and we're looking forward to an exciting 10 days.
Winds east 20 to 25 knots with a sea 6 to 9 feet high. And since we are going straight out from the islands here and out in the North Atlantic, we can expect quite a bit of sea due to the fact that the wind has been steady like this for a few days. So for those of you who still hasn't got your sea legs in order, please take your precautions. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly do hope that you enjoyed your stay in Nassau. And again, wishing you a pleasant evening. I thank you so much for your attention.
This week it is reported that Test Valley's chief executive is appalled at the prospect of the borough being split and the district of Andover being annexed to Basingstoke. We went along to Beechurst to meet with Gerry Blythe.
We're very, very concerned about this leaked information. In fact, their first recommendation would be very, very disappointing as far as Test Valley is concerned, but their second alternative proposal is much, much worse, and we would be appalled if that proposal was actually to be introduced in due course, because it would in effect mean the end of Test Valley as an administrative unit and really as a unit of identity of the local community itself.
What is the history of this, sir?
I think we really need to go back to about 2 years ago when the government appointed a local government commission to review local government in England. The chairman was appointed as Sir John Banham, and they've been looking at the country as a whole for the last 2 years and came forward with proposals for the review in Hampshire. The Hampshire authorities responded to that. We all had to make our responses by the 8th of April of this year. Test Valley was very clear on its proposals. It said that if there had to be change, then it would suggest that the new system should enable Test Valley to be able to take over on its own boundaries all of the functions which a unitary authority would be enabled to do. And its second preference was that if it was felt that that area wasn't quite big enough to do the job, then its second preference would be to link up with what we call Western Hampshire. So the whole of Test Valley would join up with Winchester and its western parishes to become a new unitary authority based in this part of the area. And so those were our two proposals, very strongly supported by the local community. 56% of those that responded to our survey and questionnaire said that they would prefer to see a unitary authority based on our boundaries, and just about 20% felt that they would like to support the Western Hampshire one if our first proposals weren't acceptable.
So what do you think this will mean to the people of Andover?
I think, really, again, if I can just go back on it, because a lot of people don't quite understand what a unitary authority is. At the moment in local government in this country, we have what we call a two-tier system, which means, as you probably know, we have county councils and we have district councils. District councils are responsible for recreation and leisure, housing, environmental health and local planning. And, of course, the counties have this wider strategic role and also responsible for major funding proposals like education and social services. If we had a unitary system, all of those functions would be brought together under the control of one authority as opposed to the two-tier system. And so that's the starting point. So the new proposals that are coming through, which have been leaked, is the first recommendation of the Local Government Commission is that Hampshire should remain two-tier with the exception of the two big cities, Southampton and Portsmouth, who until the last reorganisation in 1974 had all of those responsibilities anyway. So
you could call them ex-unitary authorities. They were county boroughs that did all of those functions. So on the recommendations of the Commission, those two authorities would retain all of those services, leaving the rest of the county broadly as it is at the moment, though there is scope for improvements. But it's the second alternative proposal that causes us to say we would get the worst of all worlds. If I can explain those rather carefully, the second proposal would be that Test Valley would be split. It would be the only authority in Hampshire to be split. And the recommendation is that we should have 7 unitary authorities. And as far as Test Valley is concerned, the split would mean that Andover and its northern parishes would be linked to Basingstoke. And so we are quite appalled at the prospect of that, because not only would it mean that the prosperity of Andover, we believe to some extent, would be reliant on the future of Basingstoke, because we would be in a minority there. We've always regarded Andover and Basingstoke to be in competition for new jobs, for example, in trying to attract new companies here. The local business community have always expressed their great concern about that. And we are also concerned because Basingstoke quite naturally looks to the M3 corridor, the Thames Valley and eastwards, whilst we are a market town, very sensitively developed market town in my view, and haven't really got the same character as the kind of city of Basingstoke has. So we'll be in direct competition, and we don't see any sense of identity and affinity. We don't see that the residents of Andover, and particularly the parishes around them, really have that linkages or bond with Basingstoke, and it would take many, many years to recreate that.
So what can the public do after the official announcement on the 14th of June?
On the 14th of June, that will be the beginning of public participation, and therefore anybody who feels as strongly as the Borough Council does, hopefully will be writing to the Commission, writing to their MPs, but more particularly within a few weeks of the 14th of June, everybody in Hampshire, and of course that includes Test Valley, will be receiving a publication, a pamphlet from the Local Government Commission with the request that they make their views known. I understand there are going to be 3 boxes. You either tick the first preference, the second preference, and there may be a box for an alternative. And so it will be up to the people in this area to respond and hopefully make their views very clearly known. We should be issuing a special edition of the Test Valley News within the next few weeks, which will give a clear indication of the Council's views, and we do really hope that many people will support it. It's not just, of course, Andover, because I didn't complete the second part of the split, and that is equally appalling in my view, and that is that to the south of the area that will go to Basingstoke, the rest of Test Valley would then join with what is going to be called, what will be, I don't know what it will be called, a great big block of administration right across the centre of Hampshire, spreading from the Wiltshire borders, which we abut, right the way through to the borders of Surrey and West Sussex. We cannot possibly see that those people living on our Wiltshire borders have any affinity whatsoever to those on the Surrey-West Sussex borders, and therefore once more Test Valley would become a minority interest in that very wide area, and therefore the objective of trying to get local government closer to the community, which has been one of our major platforms, will be completely negated, and we can't see any sense in that. So Test Valley would really, under that prospect, disappear completely if the bottom end with Romsey goes into this huge great area with 250,000 population, bigger than 5 English counties as they exist at the moment, and the northern end go to Basingstoke where there's no affinity as we see it, then Test Valley really wouldn't be here any longer as an entity.
Well, all residents have got until the 15th of August to submit to the Commission.
Yes, they have. And not only, as I said before, to the Commission, but hopefully they'll let both Sir David Mitchell and Michael Colvin also know their views, because clearly, at the end of the day, it's going to be a government decision. The Commission only makes recommendations to the government. And what we're really hoping to see is that when it comes to the government, they do really take account of our very strongly held local views. When they started the whole of the review, they said that one of the paramount things is to take into account local opinion, and we believe local government is much more important than the proposals that we see affecting Test Valley.
Well, thanks very much indeed for talking to us, and we'll be following this matter with great interest.
Thank you very much indeed, and we hope you'll support us as well. Thank you.
I mean, this gives an idea of the range of books that we publish. On one side, we've got these academic books, which are very much for students and postgraduates at university. We're also publishing books here for primary and secondary schools from the age of 4 up to 18. And then over here, we've got legal titles, very much being published for solicitors and barristers, nursing books, medical books, and scientific books. So we're doing a sort of complete range of educational and reference publications. What we don't do here, of course, is consumer publishing. We don't publish any coffee table type books.
No. So how long has Thompson's been involved with the legal profession? Seems you've got quite a history.
Oh, some of our publishers go back over 150 years, and some of the books that we're publishing were first published over 120 years ago, and every 2 years a new edition is published. The great thing about the law, of course, is that because the law is constantly changing, the textbooks have got to be constantly updated.
Right, we're now in the credit control department. Well, obviously, this is very important to Thompson's.
This is David Langley, our credit manager, and Jackie Moody, who's our assistant credit manager.
Right. So how's things in the credit control department?
They're really good, actually. I mean, we're basically an extension of customer service, you've already met, yeah?
Yeah.
And we're having a very, very good time at the moment. We're more than happy with the way things are going.
Yeah. So is the rest of the country coming out of recession, do you think?
I think not.
No.
I mean, in the book trade, we're in the academic and scientific side of things, and we're doing very well.
Yeah.
But no, they're not coming out of recession, definitely not.
No, still So what's it like to work at Thompson's?
Great fun. Good fun.
Yeah, it seems a good workforce here. Lots of smiling faces. Isn't it?
Yes, there is. Yes, and we're all collecting money as well.
That's
so
great.
we're phoning up the customers, asking for money from all the customers.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's nice. You're still smiling.
It's nice to see a smile on people's faces when they're asking for the money.
So you from Andover?
Yes, I'm indeed.
Where do you live?
Me, up Millway Road in Andover.
Say hello to all your friends on Town TV.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. All right, well, thanks for talking to us. Thank you, cheers. Okay, Michelle, what do you do here?
I'm a customer service
You are?
clerk,
Okay.
yes.
What's your full name?
Michelle Moore.
Michelle Moore. And do you live in Andover?
Yes, I do live in Andover.
Whereabouts?
Swallowfields.
Swallowfields, okay. We'll just say hello to all your friends on Town TV.
Hello.
Now we're going to, obviously, the most important part of Thompson's, which is the... secondary to the pay office, of course. So, David tells me. Right, we're here with Eric. Eric, what's your second name?
Paplet. It's an unusual name, kind of French, I believe. Yes.
Is that reflected in your cooking?
I don't know. I had a choice. I either went into horticulture or this.
Yeah.
Because in my day, of course, you had to have an apprenticeship. So I could get an apprenticeship here at the West End.
Yeah. So, it was rumoured you were at the Dorchester, is that right?
Yes,
You were?
yes.
What
went
did you do?
there just coronation year, and we had to stay there for 24 hours, locked in. we got a view of the coronation, which is unusual because it was such a bad day, and we went up on the roof where people would stand looking out the windows.
So what is your role here? What does your job entail?
More or less el factotum. Officially catering manager, but generally, kind of trying to kind of juggle my side, my staff, with the needs of the company. So basically everything that's possibly thrown at us, and a bit more sometimes.
So what sort of diet are they on? Are they on the vegetarian stuff as well these days? Or?
Yes, a lot more women here than, of course, when I started all them years ago, and this has made a difference in the kind of meal that we're doing. So we're doing much more vegetarian things, much more fish every day, a vegetarian dish every day, and 2 meat dishes, and then side salads and things of this kind, which you can see.
So what sort of hours are you open for business?
Well, we actually start off at breakfast 8:30 now for the morning shift that start at 6. Then there's another break at 10:30. The trolleys go out, obviously, and service the girls who are tied to their desks on the 3 floors. And then we are ready for action at 12:15 for the first of the people coming down from upstairs. And we finish at 1:30, and that's, again, the warehouse come back again.
So there's some awards on the wall behind you. What are those about?
Well, healthy eating means that you have 3 criteria. The criteria is that You've got no smoking, which is what we do. All the girls are trained in basic hygiene, and obviously there must be a reasonable choice of healthy options to eat. And these are vetted every year before they reissue this certificate to us.
Okay, well, thanks very much. And
It's a pleasure.
best of luck with all your healthy eating.
I would like to say that everybody here, works in with this, and all the girls should be as much congratulated on getting this award as anybody else.
Fantastic. Well, we'll do a few little shots of them so they can see themselves on Town TV.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for talking to us. Right, well, we've seen everything being packed, all the paperwork, computers, everything, but the finished article actually goes out through these doors down here. So David Baker's just going to take us down here and show us exactly what happens. Well, it's quite a title here, just being delivered to a customer, the wider world, and I'm sure Thompson's books go all over the world, and in fact we know we do because we've seen some of the destinations. But anyway, thank you very much indeed, David.
Well, it's been very nice having you here. The staff have enjoyed it.
Yes.
They always think it's fun when the telly crews are around.
Well, thanks very much, and I'm sure the people of Andover are indebted to Thompson's for all the long
Nice
service.
having you. Thank you very much for coming over. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much indeed for that whirlwind tour of Thompson's.
Well, we're delighted to welcome everybody here.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, an amazing, well-run organisation here.
Yes, we're very proud of the service, and I think that all comes down to the people who are here. Each and everyone's commitment to providing a high-quality service. And in fact, we pride ourselves in that we provide the best service in the industry.
Okay. And you're telling me you're one of the longest-staying companies on the Woolworth?
Indeed, we are actually the first company to come onto the estate. We've been here for over 27 years now.
Okay, well, obviously you're very busy. Thank you so much for showing us around.
Bye-bye.
Andy, thank you. Janet, amazing spread laid out before us. Log fire in the background, it looks beautiful. Tell me about it.
This is a presentation buffet for 50 people, which can be adapted for weddings, christenings, whatever, starting at $3.50 a head. In the restaurant we have a party of 25, taking a set price choice menu at $8.50 a head, and the ladies are choosing from our pub grub menu.
Who does all this food?
Andy, our chef, creates nearly all the dishes. There are very few brought-in products. If you'd like to get in touch with me for a party of any description, any size, 352893, and if you're in a hurry for lunchtime, why not fax on 352893.
So all you Town TV viewers out there, ring Janet at the Royal Oak in Charlton on 352893. That's 352893, or fax your order through at lunchtime. Morning viewers, here we are in Chelsea. I told you Town TV would take you around the world, but we're up in Chelsea this morning and we're at the Chelsea Flower Show. And next to me is Maggie from
Yes, indeed.
Edham Garden Centre. We dragged
Yes.
Maggie up here. She's been before. I know nothing about flowers, but hopefully Maggie does.
I'm going to do my utmost. I shall try very
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, and we're going to walk around and bring you all the blooms and the blossoms and all those pretty things which sprout out of the ground and all that sort of stuff. Well, here we are in one of the central avenues at the flower show. Maggie, can you tell me, you've been here before, tell me what it's all about, because I don't know.
Well, it's just amazing to know that everything is just done here in just under a week. It's...
Yeah, how do they put it all together in such a short time? I bet you wish you could do that at Edham.
There's still, yeah, I'd like to. There's still some finishing touches going on over there, look.
Yeah.
It's...
There's loads of cameramen all over the place and celebrities, and we're going to try and hunt down a few in a minute. But all these plants must have... How do they get them to flower just right?
They bring them on very early on in the season. Everything's kept under cover and brought out to perfection just for this 1 week. It's amazing.
Yeah. You've got waterfalls, and I just don't know how they do this.
Always a good feature, the water. Always a good feature. Yeah. You'll always find people around water, wherever you go.
Yeah. So what have we got over here on your right-hand side?
Well, lots. Lots of bedding there. Yeah. Amazing colours. Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
considering the sun's gone in, it may rain. It's still pretty bright, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. Get my sunglasses out in a minute.
Marigolds and all sorts of stuff.
Yes, I'm quite looking forward to the Marks and Spencer's tent, actually. I think.
The Marks and Spencer's tent?
Yes, that's always a good feature, I believe.
I'm looking forward to the oysters and champagne tent.
So it might lead me to it.
Look through there, you can see these two day glow handles.
Oh right, yeah,
Pull those and those will actually trigger off the smokes. So it's a question of grasping the correct one. Right.
Well, hello viewers. Here we are. It's Sunday at Middle Wallop. Lovely, lovely sunny day today. Well, not raining like yesterday. And on the other end of this camera is Steve. Now, Steve, the cameraman, is going to go up in that. Oh, that one over there, with a big letter P on the back. It's a gazelle. Steve's going to go up and film this mast approach from the air. I think I'm quite envious, really. I'd like to be doing that, but never mind. We're going to let Steve have a go, and he's going to bring back to all you Andover viewers exactly what it looks like to be part of an 80 helicopter formation. So anyway, over to Steve. Right, I'm with Steve, the cameraman now. Steve's going to tell me exactly what it felt like to go up in this mast approach. It's a pretty spectacular sight here at Wallop. So tell me, Steve, what was it like?
It was a different experience. Hovering around in the air is most amazing. Anything I've really done before this was been in a normal plane, but as you can see here, we're right above this long line, or long two lines of helicopters, and it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Just to fly over these aircraft is awe-inspiring, I think is the word, actually.
Yeah, I said there were 80, but I think there's close on 100 in actual fact from all over the country, probably from Germany as well.
Yeah, this was only half of us. We had to land here, which is our holding area, and we were here for about 3/4 of an hour, and there was another 40 of these aircraft somewhere else. And we actually did this so that we could get out of the way while the Blue Eagles did their thing. And as you can see, there are people just sitting down and taking in the sunshine. It's a really nice day. Also here, which we'll see in a minute, there was actually, this is a tame farmer's place. We're not allowed to tell you where it is. But in his hangar was actually a shed. As you can see, here's a gypsy moth. This has just been restored at a cost of, well, I don't actually know what the cost is. It's top secret as well. As you can see, it's an amazing aircraft.
Yeah, and you had a very good pilot. I think it was Captain Nick Warmby.
Yeah, Nick was amazing, actually, and he was the one who told me about this, because I wondered what it was, and here's Nick actually giving some kids... well, he's actually giving them almost a joyride in a helicopter, and actually we have a captain and a co-pilot. I suppose it's a pilot and a co-pilot here. Both kids, and the most amazing thing apparently is when you put these helmets on them and you say, OK, talk to each other, they can hear themselves talk. So what he does in a minute, he actually closes the helicopter up, and as you can see, he's left them to it, really.
Those helmets look a bit big to me.
They really enjoyed it, actually. But it's amazing, we're in the middle of nowhere, and some helicopters sort of obviously arrive, and rather a lot of them, and suddenly there's a big crowd of people all around us. Yes, wave to the camera.
Enjoying it.
This kid did, yeah. Got to you say hello in a minute. Go on.
Hello.
He did, yeah. He said hello. Anyhow.
No, you can't get in that one.
No, they wouldn't let him go into the links, actually. Mainly because it wasn't Nick's aircraft, so they wouldn't let them get in there. And
well, here we go. It looks like you're taking off again.
Yeah, we're just about ready to go into the mast approach now. And
I tell you what, we're going to see the helicopters take off, and we're probably going to let the helicopters do the talking instead of us two here, chattering away.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite a good idea. But the thing you'll notice from this is how buffeted the aircraft does get when you've got 2 rows of 40 aircraft in a row. And it is really very, very buffety. So sorry about the camera work in places. It's a bit sort of there's a lot of movement in it, but it's not me moving, it's the helicopter. I'm strong.
Well, I think you did a great job, Steve, and I was very envious that day, and I'm sure a lot of these Andover people watching this were taking these sights and think, wow, I wish I was up there.
Yeah, I felt most honoured, actually, and also, as you'll notice, I'm right at one of the ends of the formation, which is probably the best place to be because you can look out across all the other aircraft. But yes, anyway, there's a ground. There's a few tracks, and
okay, well,
yeah, I think we just let the helicopters take over. We should have a bit of music on for you, all right? Okay.